Jenna been really killing it in the world of stand-up.
Jenna was not the type to ghost people, ever. She was too driven and she had too much going on. So when she up and vanished without a trace, I knew it was bad. On Friday afternoon, Jenna was supposed to be in LA for an audition.
Ashley reported her sister missing within 24 hours. That's not actually typical for most people. We usually assume there's a logical explanation until the evidence starts telling us otherwise.
My first fear was that she had gotten into an accident. I called around to the highway patrol, hospitals between here and LA. Nothing. And then I called her girlfriend in LA, the actress she was gonna stay with for a few days, and she says Jenna never showed up. Nobody had seen her.
Now, time was not on our side.
We started with the husband, Mike Hansen. He looked like hell. He mentioned this was a normal part of her routine, taking off for LA in the Mustang, not returning for a few days. Mike said she took her purse, a suitcase with clothes, her toothbrush, her meds, but she'd left her phone behind. That's when he freaked out. He had a point. In this day and age, nobody abandons their phone.
We could tell she had gotten some calls and texts, but couldn't read them because it was password protected.
So I started digging through her social media. We always shared our social media passwords. And that's when I found the messages.
Ashley brought us dozens of messages to Jenna sent by a man named Brent Williams. This guy was relentless. Compliments, declarations of love, even veiled threats when she didn't respond. He wasn't just a fan, he was an obsessive.
He thought Jenna belonged to him.
We've seen it before. A stalker who thinks he's entitled to the victim's time, their attention. When they feel rejected, they lash out.
Obsession turns to anger, anger to violence.
I talked to Mike and we decided to take matters into our own hands. We reached out to the media.
We got hundreds of tips in the hours after that news conference. Unfortunately, most were dead ends.
Then it got bad.
Police get a call, go to the park. There were pictures of Jenna hanging on trees. At first, it seemed like another worthless lead.
Dozens of photos were being taped to trees in the park, showcasing a woman matching Jenna's build and hairstyle exactly. Her wrists were bound with zip ties in all of them. They never showed her face, but the likeness was impossible to ignore.
We sent a team to comb through every inch of that park. We didn't find her, but those photos, they changed the tone of the investigation.
Jenna and I joined this LARPing group. It was a joke at first. LARP stands for live action roleplay. Like Dungeons and Dragons, except instead of sitting around a table, you act things out. I know people in LARP have a reputation as being freaks and weirdos, and there's definitely some truth to that.
The cops interviewed me, Rebecca, and everyone else in the LARPing group. It was insane. We were the ones who had been pushing the police to do something. Now they were treating us like criminals.
It's not like it's sinister.
We had to find out the identity of the person or persons putting those photos up. And we needed to do that like yesterday. We thought we had our first real break. 2 people caught red-handed.
2 kids from the local high school, boyfriend and girlfriend. They acted like this whole thing was a big joke. Then we realized they were both high as a kite.
They didn't know anything about the flyers. They didn't know anything about the missing woman, which was incredible because it was all over the news.
I asked if they ever saw anything strange. They said no, but a couple of nights ago, they saw an old pickup truck driving back and forth several times.
I went to the computer and assessed the DMV database. And wouldn't you know it, I found a 22-year-old pickup truck registered to Brent Williams, Jenna's #1 fan. Now, he was our top suspect.
Williams lived in an apartment in a rundown part of Crystal Springs. We arrived in force with uniformed officers for backup and a CSI team.
And there was Brent Williams with this big smile on his face. He looked like, what took you so long?
We cuffed Williams while I did a cursory check of the place. It was a dump and scary as hell. Every wall was covered in photos of young women, clearly pictures taken from afar with a telephoto lens.
And an entire wall was dedicated to Jenna Gleason.
Williams had this big grin on his face. I realized he is proud of himself and his sick gallery. Before I could say anything, he points to a filing cabinet and says, "Second drawer down." He couldn't wait to tell us about the flyers. It was his masterpiece of performance art. He said he created them himself using Photoshop and hung them all over the park where Jenna was being held captive.
I'm like, what? He said that she was being held against her will by that insidious gang of pretenders who call themselves LARP. He said Jenna was too much of an artist to engage in silly games unless she was under duress. He was trying to save her, and she was not a role player. She was an actress, an artist like him.
Oh, and he just remembered his alibi. He was working a double shift as a security guard at the concrete plant. And once again, we were back to square one.